Indeed. So we're here early, so we're just gonna Here comes the church man.
The bot of the hour,
Yeah,
both machine and man.
yeah.
You don't sound
Wouldn't
very
be
good,
able to get
church.
sick.
Ugh. You sound miserable.
Yeah, see, it was raining during the whole work week, and then on the first day of my weekend, I got sick.
Well,
That's that's terrible.
I mean, I forgot what a work week's like because I haven't gone to work in a week. My boss hasn't told me if I'm getting paid yet.
I mean, are you on salary?
No.
And you're probably not getting paid, champ.
Uh, in Florida, a lot of places will pay you if you can't physically get into the building because the road's flooded.
I mean, you are not responsible for act of God.
Yeah, that doesn't
Yeah, but
work where I'm from. If that was the case, anytime it snowed, everybody would get paid.
when it's hurricanes, it's different down here. Hey, it's Novel Bro.
Oh my God.
Yes, Jack Black is making lots of terrible choices. His agent must not like him.
He must have Chris Brown's agent.
Mm, mm. But yes, I watched Borderlands, and it made me want to die inside a little bit.
So what you're saying is mistakes were made.
Well, the mistake was to make this movie. So, are either of you lads familiar with the video game?
God,
I
yes.
love the video. I love the video games. They're some of my favorite video games. At least
I'm
up until
sorry,
two.
but you are allowed to have shit taste.
See, you say that every time you're wrong, but
You know, I knew you would feel that way. I knew we would have this diametrical opposition, but none of that's going to excuse that this movie exists. So
no. See, the movie has nothing to do with the video games. The video games are actually pretty good.
I mean, they
What other
were
movie?
maybe
What
once
other
upon a
video
time
game
in
are you
another
going to
world.
get introduced to a pimentaco?
So let's talk about this offering. So the movie starts with the protagonist explaining the world to us, which is it's never a good sign, especially when there have to be all sorts of visuals, like we see commercials from the planet Pandora
Okay,
about what an awful place Pandora is.
I am gonna be more fair than I have to be. The first game starts with a monologue and a voiceover. It is actually on brand.
No, I understand that, but just because that's in the source material, you probably need something better to get your film audience into this film, especially considering you have a bunch of geriatric ass actors in an action movie.
Yeah.
And you have a 20-year-old character being played by Kate Blanchett, who isn't 20 years old.
Right.
You know how old Kate Blanchett is?
Too fucking old to be playing that character.
Kate Blanchett is 55.
Yeah.
And she's playing female strong protagonist bounty hunter woman, which is the character from the video game as I loosely understand it, who later joins...
No. Are we talking about Borderlands 1? Because the first Borderlands was led by Roland, who was a man.
Well, no. Roland is leading the team. We haven't gotten to Roland
yet.
Right.
So here's the first problem. Borderlands, as a game series, has no canonical main character.
Mm-hmm.
It's
typically one of 4 or 6.
Right. It's a set of characters, and then the next one's a different set of characters, and the third one's a different set of characters. You may encounter characters from other games throughout your play, because you meet the Siren more than once. But there's no main character. It's a series of disconnected jokes.
Mm-hmm.
So, making a main character that isn't an original main character, although that certainly didn't work for Mortal Kombat the movie, already hurts your premise.
Well, I mean, Kate Blanchett's playing the Siren.
Of course she is, because for some reason the people making the game decided that the Siren was the main character. Because, well, Church and I may get into arguments about whether or not Borderlands is good at an objective level. After Borderlands 3, there was a succession of secondary materials and expansion games. Like there's a Tiny Tina specific D&D alike that tried to do world building on Borderlands that never needed world building, because it's a run and gun looter shooter where we just blow shit up and make numbers go up. It doesn't need lore.
The numbers go burr.
The numbers go burr. That's all it ever has been.
But anyway, our main character doesn't want to go to Pandora because it's like, what if Detroit and Oakland had a baby and gave it a whole planet? And I mean, she has very strong motivations, but rich, strong corporation says, well, listen, my daughter's there. Surely you could just go and get my daughter out of there. I mean, you know what a terrible place it is. I'll give you a lot of money. Now, instead of just having the character, be motivated by a lot of money, then, have a conversion to saying, no, there are things more important than money, a la Han Solo. Or, like, have this, grizzled, stoic female bounty hunter archetype be like, I was a little girl on that shithole of a planet. I need to save this little girl. If we did something like that, the movie could venture into being interesting. And we're not fucking doing that here. So she arrives on the planet to have another series of monologues and montages of her making an effort to find Tiny Tina. She then meets the bus driver, who I'm pretty sure is a video game character because of the way he acts, like a video game NPC who drives you in the bus. And then she finds Claptrap. And you see, Claptrap is the only thing.
Looks like you found it.
Yep. Claptrap is the only thing in this movie that is interesting because of just how bad it is. Like, it's the snarky Rocket Raccoon kind of character, but written by somebody who doesn't understand how that sort of humor works.
So here's the thing. I'm gonna come back to the fight. The reason I don't like Borderlands, okay, is expressly because not the character Claptrap, but the trend of Claptrap. Because I played Borderlands 1. I played Borderlands 2. I quit in Borderlands 3. Because Borderlands only has, like, let's be generous and say 7 jokes. And they will hammer those jokes in your face until you are numb.
I would have loved it if Jack Black had 7 jokes in this movie. I mean, they thought he had more than that, but no, he had less than 7 jokes. The funniest thing was when he projectile diarrheaed out a bunch of bullets that were shot into him. And it was only funny.
Was Jack Black playing Claptrap?
He was.
That's terrible casting.
Well, you see, Jack Black did a voice of this character you might have heard of named Bowser in a little movie called Mario Brothers. So they've decided Jack Black can do voice acting now.
Yeah. So
which is a bad idea, but they believe it.
The funniest thing is Claptrap got shot a bunch, and then he projectile pooped out a bunch of bullets that were shot into him. And that was funny because in my mind, as I saw this scene, I'm imagining somebody thought this was a good idea. Someone thought we should do this. I would want to laugh at that person in their face, especially if it's Jack Black who thought this would be funny.
Oh my God.
So the Siren
so much.
meets Claptrap, and Claptrap goes about saying, hey, I've been programmed to serve you. I don't know why. I was deactivated, but your arrival back on the planet activated me. So I'm here to help you, and I can help you find the girl. So they have a video game inspired fight with Tiny Tina and the weird barbarian looking dude. And then they have, which leads to one with her, barbarian dude in the army. And that's when we introduce Chris Hart, the little guy, as the tough big black mercenary guy. Another case of really bad casting. And you see, our man Hart, he was trying to be a serious character. He might have been the only person in this movie who ever saw the video game or had any affection for the video game. But his character doesn't work because he's like 4'11" in real life. And he doesn't make sense as a badass warrior mercenary. Doesn't make sense. We then find the girl, find the team, and they go to the second town.
If they would have put a psycho mask on him, that would have been funny.
Mm-hmm. Then they go to the second town, where they go into the stripper club. The stripper tells our protagonist, the siren, I knew you as a little kid. I knew your mom, blah, blah, blah. Then they go to see Jamie Lee Curtis, who's playing Tannis. And Jamie Lee Curtis is playing a female autistic scientist. And she's delivering a terrible performance. One of the worst in her storied career. It's literally her doing a Sheldon impression without the snidiness. Because again, this is a Hollywood action movie. All the women must act stoic. So it's a stoic and autistic Sheldon.
I mean, I already didn't like Sheldon. This is not making it better.
No, it's not. So then they go into the underground barbarian place. I'm not remembering the names of any of the things from this movie because it wasn't very good. They need Claptrap as a distraction, so they send him in to insult the people. They shoot him a bunch of times. They're like some underground, like, crazed people thing. I don't even remember, and I don't care to. He was bad. It was probably the worst thing I have watched this year.
I mean, you brought this up not just because you saw it, but there was that link. It is on trajectory to be the is it the biggest bomb of the season or the biggest bomb ever?
It could be the biggest bomb ever.
See, that actually interests me insofar as if it actually wins biggest bomb ever, then you have the lightning round. Does it outstrip Plan 9 from Outer Space?
No, because Plan 9 from Outer Space had a sort of authenticity. You could tell Ed Wood loved what he was doing.
Right. Plan 9 has charm somehow.
So they find the second piece of the MacGuffin. Then they find out that, hey, the Chosen One's the third piece of the MacGuffin. And then Cate Blanchett's character gets the second MacGuffin, which allows her to summon the evil corporation. But she doesn't press it. The dumb robot played by Jack Black presses it. And she gets a monologue for the villain just in time for the rest of the team to only see part of the monologue to think she's a traitor. Then there's a fight sequence, another fight sequence. The bad guy comes in after Tiny Tina fails to work as the third piece of the first MacGuffin. Says, hey, I'm going to reduce her down to her base chemical components. We're going to try again. And then Cate Blanchett says, actually, I, the 60-something-year-old woman, I know she's only 55, but I, the mature woman who's a member of the AARP, am in fact your chosen one. Then she gets cool powers, goes pew, pew, pew. The bad guys go pew, pew, pew. Hart drops in, goes pew, pew, pew. Then she takes the evil bad guy of the corporation into the vault. And she says they're able to defeat him because we've had enough. As in, women can give up because they have enough. They don't need more. But a man needs more. So you see, we spent this whole movie just to tag on a gross feminist ending at the back end. And that's Borderlands. There's literally nothing else happening in the plot. And the action sequences are all pedestrian
Well,
because they involve people in their late 40s to 60s.
let's not forget, ladies and gentlemen, that one of the key people who's been in this game since basically the beginning is Jamie Markey.
Mhm.
So you got that going for you, which is terrible.
So I do not recommend that. Now,
she was the person who fixes up your vehicles in the second game. I think she was in the first game. She's oh god, what's the character's name? What's her fucking name? Moxie. She's Moxie's daughter.
Mm-hmm. Moxie's the one who runs the cabaret club.
Yes.
You see, I remembered Moxie because she did something memorable, unlike most of the other characters.
Oh my god.
So it's awful. I don't recommend it.
Really fast. They use a really sharp needle.
But I've been reviewing, and I've been very bullish on Ultimate Spider-Man. Rune has been fairly negative on Ultimate Spider-Man. And we're 7 issues in, and I'm finally going to say something negative about this comic run. In this comic run, in this issue of the comic, we spent 3/4 of the comic promoting all the other Hickman stuff for the new Ultimates line. And only 1/4 of it is about Spider-Man.
I mean, aren't you excited for all that world building, Larry?
No. I was excited for all the new Spider-Man dynamics. Now, there was one positive thing in there from a story perspective. It has been revealed that Robbie Robertson didn't sell out to the Kingpin. He's working to help Jonah and Ben Parker be muckraking journalists and go after Kingpin in the secret world government.
Hey, in here.
So I got to say, that's a positive.
See that there's an attempted robbery at the new mall?
But the other comic series that I've been solidly on this year, the Conan comic series from Titan, they just wrapped up their character arc that involved all the other Howard books being teased as a crossover, and we're going into the Snow Giant's daughter. So they're setting us up for that classic piece of Conan lore. And we had Conan out in the cold, murdering animals, thinking about surviving and getting stronger, and his childhood of surviving, getting stronger. And it's not, great Conan, but it's solid Conan storytelling.
It is important enough to be on model in a Conan story.
Yep, Conan is out there killing stuff, as Conan is wont to do. So I continue to recommend that. I am concerned about what's going on with Spider-Man. I might have to drop out of that around issue 8. It's a thing that might happen. But I watched something that was very good. It was an anime movie called My Oni Girl. So, My Oni Girl is about a Japanese boy with typical Japanese boy problems. And then an Oni drops into his life. And she's like, hey, I need to find my mom. I don't know where to find her, but I think she's at this place. And so this Japanese middle schooler is all like, yeah, sure. We're totally going to go on a road trip and find this stuff. and have this, character arc and a journey. It's warm, it's heartwarming, and then the Oni girl comes back and says, I love you and I want to spend more time with you. It is something I recommend because I know Church has come on me, and you've come on me saying, like, Larry, all you're bringing to the show is trash. Awful things you don't want people to see.
I mean,
But
that
now,
does sound cozy.
yeah.
I mean, it's an anime, so it's only about half much better than what you normally bring.
What was that?
So it's an anime, so it's only about half much better than what you would normally bring as trash, but I'll accept it.
Now, we do
There's
have...
only two animes that are acceptable, like Dragon Ball Z and Hellsing.
We do have, however, a second piece of trash, because we reviewed the first piece of this trash right now. Rebel Moon 2, The Redo, by your boy, Zack Snyder.
Rebel Moon, my penis on your face, Snyder.
Yep. There's not a lot of additional content, except they've taken Korra, the main character's motivations, and ruined them. So in the original movie, she was told by her dad, the evil military leader, like, hey, listen, you need to murder Magic Space Princess, who is the reincarnation of the Magic Space Princesses that reoccur in this royal family. And because I'm loyal to my dad, I'm going to murder that child. Now, that's not a good motivation, but it's a viable motivation. It's a motivation that makes sense for a certain type of character. So, Rune, how did Zack Snyder screw this up?
I mean, first you render the entirety of needing to kill the child irrelevant.
Oh no, he screwed it up worse than that.
Okay.
Instead of being told, hey, you need to murder the child, her dad said, hey, listen, the military is going to be disbanded, and the king's going to murder us all for our crimes. And you and I are going to go first. But if we kill the king and the little girl, I'll be the new king, and you'll be the new princess. So instead of being a loyal soldier who follows orders, she's going to murder a child because it's going to advance her position.
Just wait for somebody to say, you don't understand, Joe. She was forced to do it because that's the awful society they exist in. Honest.
And also, they added in a whole bunch of racial commentary. So once she murdered the princess and got accused of everything, she was accused of being a murderer because she was racially impure.
Right.
Zack Snyder did add in another titty sex scene because we have to justify our rating. And our protagonist actress had, emotions, and she conveyed things about her backstory to the guy she was boning so that he would have a deeper emotional relationship with her. And she was actually acting in that scene. And I'm like...
Well, this is the problem with having what is essentially a prequel or an expanded after you've done the base, is because people get better at what they're pretending to be over time. So your flashback material will be better, even if it's still awful, than your original content. I don't know, maybe I'm crazy, but if we actually gave these actors enough time to perhaps learn and maybe perfect their roles before we started filming, maybe they'd do better.
I mean, that involved paying actors what they're worth, though. And the space battle goes on more or less the same. Our main character murders some innocent people who are like saying, hey, listen, I'm not involved. I was just here doing my job. She just murders that guy who stopped being evil. And there were other people shooting at her who were being evil, but she killed all of them indiscriminately. And Anthony Hopkins' character let spies, reveal that the heroes were in the village, but then murdered them just as they were about to reveal that they had a special advantage. So really, all that extended scene was garbage that didn't belong there. I mean, good on Anthony Hopkins for getting a paycheck. You got to respect that. And they added on an ending where Magic Space Princess isn't dead, even though you killed her, because we tease that she's actually an incarnation of divinity. And you could go save the Magic Space Princess. And then her father goes from being the evil dictator to the evil dictator who replaces the slain king, who he created a religion behind. So, Joe, why would a dictator create a religion to worship his enemy that he had murdered? Why would you do that?
Quite frankly, I have no idea. Because I want to say that as we go through all the things that Rebel Moon is knocking off, it's clearly trying to riff real hard on Dune, but clearly was made by someone who doesn't understand the depth or insanity that is Dune.
Yeah. And it's bad. It's bad. It made Rebel Moon less coherent, less understandable. It made the story less good. I don't recommend Rebel Moon. In fact, Rebel Moon is so bad, I don't recommend anybody watch anything from Zack Snyder in any way he can monetize it. And I don't recommend you watch it unless you provide content for people on the internet. Because there's no other reason to engage with that vile filth that he makes. Church, did you listen to the review of Rebel Moon Redo Part 1 that I did last week?
I know Church exists, but he might be busy.
Might be busy dealing with.
I did, and I think it may be the reason I got sick.
But yeah, it.
Wait a minute, is that the secret? Because I have been unwell for a while, but am I on the mend because I am not watching these terrible things that you guys talk about?
I mean, that could be. It could be because your psychological health could be sufficiently buttressed. So, Joe,
Yeah.
have you been reading or watching anything of interest?
Oh, I mean, if we want to talk about good things, I totally had a windfall recently. I found a Bernard Caldwell novel in the bargain bin at the grocery store. And I'm like, where did this come from? Why was this there? So I've been reading Sharpe's Assassin.
I mean, the Sharpe's books are excellent.
Oh, they are. No, as you know, the most significant deep dive I did is the tenuous connection between Star Trek and pedophilia.
Gross.
Which turned into a deep dive on just how toxic, in the actual meaning of toxic, that the big sci-fi circles are. And it's kind of sad making. It gives me the sad panda face. Because, I have books by some of those people.
I mean, they're not books that talk about having sex with children, are they?
No, God, no.
Well, that's fine.
But when my mom bought her Marion Zimmer Bradley books in the 90s, because she found them and thought that they were an amazing author, she didn't know about Marion Zimmer Bradley's private life that only came out after she was dead, and her children felt comfortable enough to announce it. Nor did she ever find out about all the lawsuits. And I've still got those books. What do?
I mean, you can read the books. You can
I
separate the
suppose.
art from the artist.
Yeah, yeah. I'm also just about done with the first novel of Game of Thrones. There was a really funny thing on the Twitter feed. You may have missed it. Somebody claiming that men don't read books, and
Well,
here I am, almost having consumed like maybe 1,500 pages this month.
well, men don't read the kind of books that book companies that sell to women consider important. So thus, men don't read books.
Hmm. Is that how that goes?
It is. And did you have any good role-playing game content to bring to the show this week?
Uh, Surprisingly enough, not really, because most of it is just either the same stuff or specifically is centered in and around D&D 6 a common. Unless you want to talk about how utterly ridiculous it is that if you criticize the holy Watsy, people will say that you must be terrible to roleplay with, and that your opinions are wrong based only on a child's interpretation of D&D 5.
What?
Okay, so Watsy recently had an event to celebrate their upcoming D&D, and everyone's been talking about how this D&D is probably going to be pay to play and VTT integrated because they really want to turn D&D into a digital platform so they can charge you money rather than sell you physical books so that you can play D&D forever and don't need Watsy's input. Right?
You mean like we do now?
Yeah, they don't want us to do what we do now. They want you to do a digital D&D where books are just for your fun. And so what they had is there was a big convention, and they had a big screen, and they had a bunch of influencers, including Arabia from fucking Critical Role as your GM, who is pretty soundly considered a worse quality GM than either Brendan Mulligan or Matt Mercer. But there she is, shitting things up, because she's a proud woman of color who don't need to be good at D&D, right? And what they did is they used the game engine from Larian. So if you were in the audience, instead of looking at people playing at the table, you can instead look at their 3D avatars doing digital dipshittery,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I was ignoring it. I was passively not caring. But I came across this one video where one of these soy boy Wojak weirdos that they have at the table gets up and has to physically describe in action, because his words are insufficient, how upon seeing a dragon, he and this other character are going to literally Pink Panther their way out of the room.
Um,
And everybody thinks that is the most hilarious thing ever. And I said, oh yes, because if I was running that table, the dragon would open his mouth and free his breath weapon. Because the dragon's not stupid. At which point I was told that, one, somebody threw a John Cena meme at me, because apparently every party has a pooper, and that's me. I am now Arnold Schwarzenegger with a shotgun in your party. And you know, I could almost take that joke. But then let's see. I was told I must be awful to play with. And you guys have played with me, so you can know if I'm awful to play with or not.
mm-hmm.
Somebody informed me that dragons cannot use their breath weapons as a reaction. If I'm going to be a pedant, I could at least get it right.
Hold up. Are you saying?
you are awful to play with?
Hold up.
Thank you very much.
So, are we saying that a dragon can't pop a surprise round on people?
Right. The dragon cannot initiate combat first and call for surprise. When you have PCs actively acting like dipshits in front of it. But I'm the asshole here.
I mean, I can see how people would come to that conclusion.
So I
Uh,
so I took to my Substack where I put all my angry words on the internet. And I made a post called "The Inadequacy of Mockery," or how my mom taught me to relax and love RPGs. Because the thesis of my argument is fun is fun. Okay, I ain't gonna fault people for making stupid jokes. I make stupid jokes at the table, right? But to be entirely accurate, if you're the GM and you want to be respected,
Did you
and
just try to
want-
shoot that block down with a pistol?
I'm sorry, what?
All the ones I saw.
George?
There's a couple that fell
Huh.
What are you talking about?
in that basket. Look.
Oh, I'm building a horde base in the background.
Oh, nice. So basically, I'm saying if you're the ST and you want to be respected and have your game respected, you got to treat it serious, and that means you can't let stupid jokes overtake the game. Proof in pudding with our World of Darkness game. Eric could make as many Alex Jones stupid libertard jokes as he wanted. I was going to take all of them and make it serious. And he loved it. It made his game excellent. To his great frustration, because he kept trying. He kept putting the shit posts out there, and I would not raise to it. But the other thing is that the players should respect the game enough to want to take it seriously. Your character might be a smart aleck, but you, the player, should give a shit.
So get your hair brushed, brush your
Right.
hair, get ready for bed.
And that calling me one of the not fun police does not invalidate my argument. Doesn't disavow that the joke didn't land and the GM should do something about it. Right? All it does is you stick your tongue out at me like we're on the playground. And it doesn't actually shut me up or shut me down. And then, of course, today, just because clearly reality has to decide to kick me in the Johnson, Crafty Matt, someone with whom I have a beloved rivalry, posted some bullshit. There's apparently a magazine called Weird Science, which has an article that I won't be able to get because I don't want to give them money. Right? But it claims, quote, the truth is that D&D is about violent colonialism at its very structure.
what?
Old D&D is not a rulebook or a manual or a system. It's someone's toolkit for a war game campaign of their own making. The OSR is not really about old books. The OSR is a modern revisionist interpretation of those old books.
I mean, I could agree with that part.
Sure, I'd be open to that argument, but then they follow it through with this bit of brilliance. Give me a moment to pull it up here. At the same time, some of these bloggers, especially early on, have shown themselves to be hurtful people, or at least insofar as they are vocally sexist, racist, homophobic, and or transphobic. I've included blog posts by these individuals to provide an accurate view of the play style's historical development, but I disavow any harmful or destructive views expressed anywhere by these individuals, speaking as a queer woman and a communist. So you know. Cavat emptor! It's like, so a rad femme, commie, went on a screed in their very special zine for pay about how the games you enjoy make you a scumbag. So yeah, it's a wonderful day in RPGs, and I have nothing of consequence to say.
Well, let's segue into something of consequence to say. I watched a YouTube video on another YouTube channel, and I'm gonna post a link to that in our section here. This YouTuber, the name of the channel is, just so I can say the name of the channel and be proper and polite. It's the Archcast. Is pointing to some high quality rumors that have come through that Park Place, which is known for sourcing good quality material, that Amazon and Games Workshop are playing a game of chicken to see if they can actually develop some sort of a script blueprint to start the Warhammer 40K show by the end of the year. And if they can't do it by the end of the year, Amazon doesn't have the right to go forward with it.
Oh, you mean because they pissed off Cavill and he's out?
Well, Cavill's not fully out. The issue is that Cavill has like a refusal right in the formula. Basically, he has a right, Games Workshop has a right, and Amazon has a right.
Right.
And Amazon wants things. Games Workshop is proposing, well, we're not having female Space Marines. And you don't want the Sisters of Battle. Let's give you a female Custodians. That seems like a reasonable compromise.
That
Henry
was the
Cavill,
much maligned alteration they put in the lore to answer the question that no one ever fucking asked except for extremists.
well, that came directly from Amazon's request that they could have a female main character that could be put in there so women could relate to the show.
You know, just an idea. Instead of having a film centered on Space Marines, perhaps, just perhaps, do an Inquisitor series, because Henry Cavill would look great as Gregor Eisenhorn, and then have female characters who are humans in the story. Then you don't have a problem with a female Space Marine at all, motherfucker.
Well, they want the Space Marines because everybody knows who they are.
Right.
They don't want to actually, develop a good quality story. They want to use all the pieces of the IP that everybody knows and is familiar
Right.
with.
They want to move around the Legos and tell their own special story with the Legos. By the way, just as an aside, are we going to talk about Yakuza tonight as well? Because that kind of is related in the same vein. Okay.
Yes, the Yakuza series. Church, are you there? Church has probably played the Yakuza game. Did you ever play the Yakuza game?
I have not played the Yakuza game, but I am familiar with that the Yakuza game is much beloved by the people who have.
And they likewise are saying, well, we're going to use this to tell our own story.
Right. We want your Legos, but we're not going to play the Legos by the established laws.
Now, are we going to have a Japanese person involved in that storytelling, in that story crafting for the show? I don't believe so, no.
Well, I mean, it's only cultural appropriation when you do it.
Exactly. And we are at the end game, though, for this sort of content. We've reached the final stage. Church, can you pull up that first Twitter link I got on the doobly-doo? Or Joe, if you can pull that up.
Sorry, pull one up.
The first Twitter link I have in the private chat.
Okay.
Because this was a fun story that came across my desk.
She was only 16.
Kanye's former chief of staff, aka Milo Yiannopoulos. So this is content of suspect character, alleges that his dentist supplies him with nitrous in a predatory manner, leading to an addiction that has made him no longer capable of successful releasing music or clothing. There's a reason Ye, formerly known as Kanye West, is no longer capable of successfully releasing music or clothing. In fact, there are several reasons, but most seriously and most recently is his dentist, Thomas Connolly. Connolly got Ye hooked on nitrous, laughing gas. It is my belief that Connolly sought to diminish Ye's mental faculties, which weren't great before then, so that Connolly and his big business associates could extract millions of dollars from him. Earlier this year, I uncovered the fraud at Intervene. Ye, hooked on nitrous, blew up our relationship on purpose by proposing something he knew I'd have to resign over, because I had told him so, the resurrection of his longtime idol fantasy of making porn. Thomas Connolly is a dangerous predator who targets African American celebrities into whose mouths he puts fake diamonds, as I suspect he did to whoever that is. He must be stopped, and I filed a complaint with the California Dental Board. So, Church, are you familiar with people who do nitrous as an addictive substance to get high?
I am not.
I don't understand, like, how much nitrous would you have to do to not be capable of functioning?
I mean, I do know that is the thing that happens.
Mm-hmm.
They made a joke about it on Parks and Rec about the burly biker dude winning a date with Ann Perkins and taking her home with a whole thing of nitrous. But there's also the joke about a dentist in some movie like taking a hit of nitrous right before he operates on a patient.
Yep.
But I've never heard of real people actually doing it. I've never been on nitrous, so I have no idea.
You haven't even been in nitrous in a legitimate dental scenario?
No.
I have heard.
No,
that,
lidocaine, my favorite.
I have heard that nitrous is a component of whippets.
Yes.
So I mean, you can get high on it.
Who the fuck gets addicted to whippets?
There are people who get addicted to a lot of things, Church. The thing that I noticed in the comments here is, of course, Milo is a unreliable narrator.
Yes.
Right. But he said this right after Kanye just put out some work, because apparently there was a recent release of work, so that casts a question on the whole thing. But then I have a boggle in my brain, because not only does this not necessarily win Milo anything, he's already lost the job, and it would be burning bridges, so he wouldn't be let into somebody else's inner council for such a thing. But why target the dentist? Right?
Well,
Didn't they target the dentist with MJ too?
He actually had an anesthesiologist who got it.
Oh yeah.
So now comes time for the pain that I started us off with the painkillers for. If you can pull up the next Twitter link there, Mr. Church.
When did I become the producer? Didn't I give you access to do all this shit?
I mean, Ayrton's not here.
Yeah, I know.
Also, hello, whoever Just a Cutting Board is.
No, the second one. There.
It's Just a Cutting Board. I'm talking to an
That is the second one.
No, the Kanye one's the first one.
No, I'm working on it. I'm looking at it, so I have to put it on the thing.
All right.
It's the same window.
So the new broken Disney era has begun. So let's talk about these announced film choices. We have The Incredibles 3, Moana 2, Toy Story 5, Zootopia 2, is this Freaky Friday 2 or 3?
3.
And a Frozen 3. Which of these unnecessary sequels are you the least interested in?
My mother's a career politician.
Toy Story 5.
Did you like her?
They closed that fucking story. They closed it hard.
I mean, they reopened it for Toy Story.
I was off screen, and when I came back on screen by clicking it shot.
I think it makes them hate themselves.
Do you not remember the review I did of Toy Story 4?
I'm not better than anything.
No, I had put it out of my memory because we didn't need more of it.
Like,
yes, so in Toy Story 4,
you look funny when you're putting up shit.
Woody decided to run off with Bo Peep and be a lost toy and live in the world of misfit toys. So we're now going to explore that world. And we're going to explore the world of the other toys, where Buzz is now the Woody of the toys. And in Toy Story,
I can't even
4,
unlock a door I lock. That's fucked.
give me a second. And in the middle of Toy Story 4, we had Buzz become the new Woody, and Woody told him to listen to the voice inside. So Buzz hit his own mic, his own button to listen to his own pre-recorded wordings.
I mean, that's actually almost funny. I have a feeling I've said that before.
Yes, that was a strong piece of the puzzle here. I don't know what you would make a Zootopia 2 out of, especially considering the infamous internet fan comic and its sequel really tell everything you want to tell in the Zootopia universe.
Here's the thing. The fan comic, I'm going to pretend doesn't exist for a minute. Of these things, a Zootopia 2 is the least offensive. Because it's a young property, and it is a world that has interesting things to explore in it. It could be good, it could be fun. We didn't need more Frozen, we don't need more Moana, we don't need more Toy Story by a wide fucking margin, and most of the people I've heard talking about the new Incredibles say it looks ugly. I don't think we need more Incredibles either. We've already had Alan Moore Light, and we've already experienced the joys and wonder that is everybody else knocking off Alan Moore. Because we got The Boys, we've had HBO's Watchmen. It's a well-plumbed environment. We don't need more of that shit.
Now, why isn't Moana 2 the least offensive?
Well, I don't understand how they do a Moana 2. Like, isn't the whole story about the Maui thing? Like, isn't that the mythology that it was based on? Like,
Moana's a historical character. That's like Mulan 2, which we also did not need.
But at least Eisner had the common decency of making that a direct-to-DVD movie.
Is that White Chicks 2 at the bottom?
No, that's Freaky Friday 3. But this time, it's the
I think White Chicks 2 would be better.
I mean, yeah.
You would think that, but I'm not going to say you're wrong either.
Do you want to listen to the horror that is the Lilo and Stitch teaser?
You know, I've seen the I haven't seen a bigger clip, but I've seen the one where just Stitch jumps out of a screen, and it didn't look awful. It wasn't Sonic the Hedgehog levels of bad.
Yeah, that I agree. That's not really necessarily a strong piece either. You can pull up the one from Spiderzilla that talks about how Ryan Reynolds saved us all from something horrible in the Deadpool movie. A rumor was posted. Brie Larson and Tatiana Maslany reported unhappy with Ryan Reynolds' decision at editing out their cameos of Captain Marvel and She-Hulk from Deadpool and Wolverine. It's also reported that Brie Larson is forcing Disney and Marvel executives to take legal action against Ryan Reynolds. However, Ryan, who took the entire responsibility of Deadpool and Wolverine, feels those scenes were not necessary and might disturb the flow of the movie. The scenes of Captain Marvel included a few lines like Captain Marvel to Deadpool, "You should know, I'm the strongest Avenger, not just in the universe, but in every universe." There is also a scene where she calls Wolverine, "Who is the untrained puppy?" I noticed they don't reveal the terrible She-Hulk lines either. So if this is true, Ryan Reynolds is a good guy, Greg, because he was able to make his peace with Wesley Snipes. He was able to give Channing Tatum some resolution and peace from his decade-plus attempt to get a Gambit movie made.
I mean, it's extra. It runs extra deep because, there's in the last couple of weeks, there's been a push, and I'm sure it's AstroTurf, but it might not be, to get people to reassess She-Hulk, either to save the actress's career for being attached to that piece of garbage, or, no, guys, it's actually good. You just have to not listen to the hate mob. Even though it's not good. And it's just a lot of cope around She-Hulk right now. Not as much cope around Brie Larson. I think Brie Larson was so objectionable, no one's defending that. It doesn't help to be unlikable.
It does not. It does not. And in related news, Joaquin Phoenix abandons Todd Hayes' gay romance movie just 5 days before filming.
That's kind of shitty. I don't care about why. I just, why wait? Why wait till the wire?
I mean, realistically, you should say to yourself, this isn't something I should be doing. Joaquin Phoenix has dropped out of Todd Hayes' untitled gay romance film just 5 days before filming was set to begin in Mexico, Variety has confirmed. Phoenix had developed the screenplay for the detective love story with Haynes and John Raymond. The source close to production tells Variety the actor got cold feet. Entire sets had been built in Guadalajara before Phoenix made the last-minute decision to exit the film. Hopefully Joker 2 makes him a lot of money. Representative for Haynes and Phoenix did not immediately respond to Variety's request for comment. Hinged on Phoenix's casting, the movie produced by Killer Films and backed by sales agent MK2 Films had already sold to international distributors ahead of production. That's not going to be good for him. He's going to take a hit on that one. Sources tell Variety the project is in peril, indicating Phoenix's role cannot be recast. The crew is now out of work, and stakeholders of the film still need to be paid. Losses could exceed 7 figures. Top Gun Maverick star Danny Ramirez joined the cast in July as Phoenix's love interest in 2023. He's teased the project in an interview with Variety as a love story between two men set in the 30s that has explicit sexual content. The film was said to be rated NC-17 and feature a relationship that will challenge audiences. Speculation among the crew is that Phoenix accident had to do with the graphic nature of the film's sex scenes, but that theory is confusing to some sources who reiterate that it was Phoenix who brought the project in its NC-17 concept to Haynes in the first place. Haynes told Variety in 2023 that the film started with a fragment of ideas from Phoenix, which the director formulated into an actual narrative before bringing Raymond on board. Basically, it was just an organic way to create the script, Haynes said, and Joaquin would push it into further, more dangerous territory. IndieWire first reported news of Phoenix's exit following the rumors posted to social media. So, what do you think about Joaquin Phoenix not being gay for pay?
Not my problem. Just like Joker is not my problem.
I mean, Joker's a good movie.
Yeah, but I'm not watching the sequel. I'm not watching the musical.
What exactly is it with the obsession over musicals in the leftist culture sphere?
I mean, we'd love to know.
I mean, I don't like musicals, so I'm not sure I'm the right person to really, slice this up and try to examine it in a deeper level.
I blame Glee. I blame the success of the show Glee.
Well, I mean, Buffy did it first. And Angel did it first.
Right, but Glee was an entire show of it. Multi-season.
Don't care for that. I don't care for that at all. So Church?
Yeah.
So have you kept up with this whole absolute DC Comics nonsense?
Absolutely not.
Oh God.
I do love that line.
The absolute failure.
Well, I mean, it's not started yet, so it can't fail. In fact,
it's burned. It is so burned.
In fact, it could succeed by not launching. That's a way to succeed when you fail this hard before you start.
Yeah, did that
Uh,
work out for Kibblesmith and his New Warriors? Because that never dropped either.
Is this another attempt at a reboot? Is that what you're getting at?
well, they're making a special, edgier version of the DC universe. So what if Superman doesn't have the Kents, doesn't have any of his
No,
friends?
what if it's a Marvel property, Larry? You're getting confused. DC had Elseworlds.
Well, this is going to be a parallel line, kind of like the Ultimates, where
no, it's not. It's not like Ultimates. It's DC's next version
No,
of
Parallax is a Green Lantern villain, Larry. You're getting
It's
confused
DC's
again.
It's DC's next version of their heavy metal run, or their
Well-
or their dark run, where everything was from a dark universe that was dying. They're just gonna keep trying to find variations of the Infinite Earths until they find one that works, and when they don't find one that works, they'll just find another crisis to have. Because
So,
we need more crises.
So Superman in this absolute universe doesn't have any family, doesn't have any friends. He's polysexual, and he's in Brazil for some reason.
How is he polysexual if he doesn't have any friends? Is he raping people?
Well, I mean, if you have a lot of hookups, you don't have friends. You just have short-term relationships.
Look, it's South America. They have a very different approach to whether or not hookers are people than we do up here.
It's true. We have Batman in this setting, but Batman doesn't have any money.
Also, we know exactly what that looks like. We saw the first 20 minutes of Hancock.
Yes. We have Batman who doesn't have any money, and Alfred trained him to be a vigilante, and he's built like Brock Lesnar after a 12-year steroid binge. I don't understand why we're doing that, but that's what they're doing. And Wonder Woman doesn't have the mascara. She's from hell, apparently.
Because we're edgy boys at DC.
And
they already have a character perfect for that. It's called Angela. Neil Gaiman gave it to him after he got
but that's Marvel.
Todd McFarlane.
That's Marvel. He gave it to Marvel.
I'm getting confused again. Just ask Neil Gaiman for Angela. He'll give it to him.
Well, no, he traded it to Marvel in exchange for Marvel publishing something for him. And he gave it to Marvel
I'll tell you,
as a
Neil
fuck you to
Gaiman has
Todd.
given it to a couple of people in his time.
Look, I've done a lot of research into this whole Neil Gaiman and and no, it's not Gaiman. He doesn't get that respect anymore. It's Neil Gaiman. He lost a lot of respect for me after I read into that, because it literally all it was is he got pussy hurt because Todd McFarlane made more money than he did in Image.
And Todd also claimed he owned something he didn't own, and that Neil actually owned more of. So the whole thing over Miracle Man is Todd didn't actually buy
Miracle Man. Yeah, no.
Yeah.
Neil Gaiman doesn't own fucking Miracle Man either.
He owned a piece of it.
It was more McFarlane and Gaiman slapping dick.
And because McFarlane, when it got down to brass tacks time in court, all he owned was the rights from other people to publish Miracle Man if he got all the rights from everybody. And then Neil Gaiman went back after McFarlane lost, got the rights from everybody, and Marvel agreed to publish Miracle Man comics for him in exchange for him giving them Angela.
I'm going to throw the curveball here and say, as if anyone gives two flying fucks about Miracle Man.
Well, I mean, British people care, and people who were reading comics in the early '80s care.
Not to be a party pooper or anything, but it's time for me to go take medicine and kill myself.
If this week
I
has
will
taught
leave
us-
you with this wonderful impression of Macho Man Randy Savage on the topic of Miracle Man. Who gives a shit?
Good night, church.
And with that,
in pure matter of point, in fact, we know exactly who does or does not care about Miracle Man, because the thing is if you have not heard, if this week has taught us anything, America does not give a fuck what England thinks or Britbongers, because if you did not hear, there's a head Bobby who says he's gonna extradite people who say mean words on the internet to arrest them in England. And
I heard that.
And the vast majority of Americans have said, "Hey, bet."
Come and get us.
I absolutely said, "Come and get me."
But I think since church did an honorable hour and some change, and it's just the two of us, I think we should pull up stakes an hour early.
I mean, we could.
And
we could also, slum around, fuck around, do crazy shit the church would not let us do. Because
like
clearly, I don't know, but the adults are no longer in the room. Clearly, it is time to fuck around. That's what that means, right?
I mean, is anybody the adult here?
I mean, does anyone really know what time it is? Does anyone really? No.
I mean, it's 11:07 Eastern Standard Time. And on that note, good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.